following podcast may contain strong language. Listener discretion is advised.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to Hallmark Greats, the podcast where we force you to act in the Hallmark play of your life, regardless of your own free will. I am Joe, and with me as always, fresh off the set of her latest Hollywood blockbuster, The Fast Mission to the Mad Max Matrix, it's Barney.
Do it or don't.
Was that the catchphrase?
I don't know what it was.
We couldn't remember. And having recently won an award for Best Stage Scrooge since Stacey Meadowcroft in my Year 8 production of A Christmas Carol, it's Katie.
The surplus population!
Why? If you would like to keep up to date with us all, the Hallmark Greatness, you can follow us on Twitter at Hallmark Great, or we are on Instagram and Facebook at Hallmark of Greatness. Half Christmas is over, thankfully. Now we're just back to the regular nonsense that is Hallmark films. And boy, if you're going to start with a good one, you may as well start with this. 2016's Anything for Love, which is not about meatloaf.
Or meatball, as I called it the other day.
Little Jimmy Meatball. But what could it have been about, Barney?
Stephanie Love is yet again a hot patootie bridesmaid at another of her friends' weddings. Stephanie believes that she will never be the bride for crying out loud. That all changes when she meets Terry Nash, who is a real dead ringer for love. Stephanie will do anything for love, but when Terry reveals he's been keeping a secret, she jumps out of the frying pan and is like a bat out of hell. Can Terry woo her back? Is he all revved up with no place to go? Can Stephanie get back with Terry, as 2 out of 3 ain't bad?
I mean, that's good. That's Frank's side bottom level of cramming stuff in there. Chris Packham would be proud.
Google Meatloaf greatest hits.
I was going to say, someone bought a CD.
I was going to say, I can tell that these are probably titles of Meatloaf songs, but I didn't know any of them.
The actual synopsis for Anything for Love. A high-powered executive lies about her career on her dating profile, while her match also hides his true identity. That's it. That's all it is. I mean, let's lead into this. Anything for Love 2016. We open up on Catherine in bed, getting ready for work, and we cut across to Jack, who's sleeping in the bed as his big dog, which, you know.
No, always a winner.
Yeah, well, and he's getting ready for work. Well,
he's suffocating that dog, not like fully under the covers, holding him down, spooning him.
I mean, my dog flies under the covers and won't let you move. Yes.
You will love me.
Yeah. Trump's under there. It's horrible. But in a turn of events for a normal Hallmark film, Catherine is the businessman, and Jack is a lowly something in a hospital. We don't know yet. But whatever it is, it's the worst job in the world, apparently, according to this film.
I mean, how dare he?
Is he the man that cleans out the bums of the dead corpses? We don't know. But, oh, mate.
As long as it's not a nurse, a male nurse.
Ugh.
That's one above pervert. He goes to a magazine stand and talks to an old man, pays him for one magazine, I'm assuming Nurse Weekly, and then he also steals a newspaper as he walks off. We find out that Catherine is busy and has no time for men as she works in her dad's company.
I think they built it together,
Right.
I think is the theory. Kitten has built it with him. Calls a kitten about 1,000 times in the film.
And there's a weird bit where he pushes her hair out of her face, and I'm like, that's inappropriate.
Yeah, it's all a bit strange.
But she's a busy lady with no time for men. She's doing contracts. She's got an earpiece in, so you know she's legit.
She's talking about inflation and business things.
50 grand, or we take it to Sky. Yeah, it's proper hard ball. Whatever it is she does.
Probably a proposal.
Lawyering or
merging.
It's business, baby. Yeah.
But she does have a floozy for a
assistant.
Yes.
Who's the only normal person in this?
She's nice.
The lovely Debbie, who is the best thing in this by a country mile, to be honest. Because she's the one that's like, yeah, you should just not be doing any of this. Mad bastards. We come back to the hospital.
She's dating 3 men at the same time.
I bet she is.
Apparently that's very looked down upon. As long as you get on with your work, she doesn't mind if you're a whore.
Doesn't say she's sleeping with them all.
No, I know. I'm just being...
Oh, now who's shaming? got a degree in this. You should know better.
I do, yeah.
We cut to the hospital where we find out that Jack is a nurse, which is a male nurse. This puts him on par with someone with the plague, it would appear, as everyone hates him.
Yes.
Everyone treats him like he's an absolute piece of shit.
Yep.
He says at one point, it'd be better to be an orderly. Is that so bad as well?
Well, his friend Reggie, I think, is an orderly because he's got brown scrubs on, which I think is odd. I don't know the rankings of it. It's purely based on.
No, because he has green scrubs later on.
Oh, maybe I don't know then. Maybe Reggie's a nurse as well.
Mildred, the older lady he flirts with, unabashedly, she's always in pink.
Yeah, but she only exists behind the nurse station like Nurse Roberts. So I don't know. I don't know what Reggie's job was. I assumed he was an orderly because he goes, oh, well, it's all right for me. I tell women that I'm a sportsman. And I'm like, unless that sport is pie eating, mate. Because he's not. Yeah. But then they're all looking at another doctor and saying, even though
he's got the same name.
Is that his brother?
No, it's just that they've got the exact same name. So he's Jay Cooper and he's Jack Cooper. I don't think people learn.
Oh, that makes more sense. Yeah, right.
So they do all this sort of incel talk about like, oh, women only like men with power nowadays.
Yeah.
All the Chads, only Chads get women.
I only found out what this meant the other day, and I was like, man, people have got farty. People need to go out and touch some fucking grass, don't they? Like, but yeah, they basically go, the doctor, even though he's fuck ugly, has got women. And I was like, maybe it's because he doesn't objectify women like that. Maybe he just gets on with his life.
It's a bit weird though, because they are just like, these three women are just like practically stroking him. And
one of them should have been wafting him with a big palm frond and
feeding him grapes. Very that.
But yeah, they're doing this, and then we get this music that exists in all Hallmark films. I'm trying to find it so we can just put it in ours, like. But it's like the weird blong 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 blong. It's in all of these films, like for wacky bits, and I'm trying to find it, but because someone must have it. It must be a composition that someone's written,
and it'll be free somewhere because that's why it's on all the films.
Possibly, yes. We are introduced to Charles, who is the worst person in this film by a mile. He's sitting at a restaurant, holding his glass up, not even looking at someone and saying, I'd like another drink. Doesn't say please. And unfortunately, it's Catherine who's there. And he's like, oh, forget it then, because you're not a server. They sit down and he's like, business, business, business. Also, I quite like you. And she's like, okay. Where's this come from? And he's like, oh, you've got money in it. You can see it in his eyes.
Propose, doesn't he? We've been together for 6 whole months now, Catherine. And I've seen you complete a merger like a merger should. And then, so I want to. And then she gets a phone call just as he's pulling out what looks like a ring box. But is it?
But no, it's some earrings.
Big fancy earrings.
He says he wants her to keep her Friday nights and possibly Sunday lunch free.
Oh, yeah.
2 nights a week, yeah.
And then I put, why are leftovers in America in one of them stupid tinfoil swans? Why are they not just in a Tupperware or one of them?
I'm quite jealous of that, though. I remember Rachel Greene from Friends having a swan leftover when I was in the 90s.
It feels like a lot of waste of tinfoil, though.
It's not practical.
Yeah. I think it's so that it looks fancy and people know that you look at them and then metallic peacock.
Somebody couldn't eat all their food.
It's not a doggy bag, it's a swanny bag.
Well, this was the thing, apparently, is that because on the Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares and stuff that I've watched, American portion sizes are much bigger anyway.
Yeah.
So that you don't end up eating all of it, you take a lot of it home. And that's why all these old people went to one restaurant, because they ordered one meal and it fed them for a week. Giving out too much stuff. Anyway, back in the office, Catherine and Debbie. Catherine's like, Charles is a bit of a prick, isn't he? And Debbie's like, yeah. Here's an idea. Let's sign you up for it. Headoverheelsforyou.com. Which I was disappointed didn't have a for and a U on its thing, as it's the hottest new dating website apparently.
Yeah, it's got an algorithm to help you find your perfect match.
The algorithm being 5 categories.
And I don't know if it was her or him, but one of them put his favourite food and they just put all. We won't help the algorithm at all if you just.
It must have been him because she put coffee for Catherine, didn't she?
That's right.
Wrote her name down as 68, I think it was, and then Japes.
Oh, I always get that confused.
Put it down as 34. The 5 categories I didn't manage to write down because I was too busy laughing, but I'm assuming they were like strength, dexterity, charisma, wisdom, intelligence, and Misk. But there was like 8 things there. Like, I've never done internet dating and stuff like that, but I imagine there's more than just 5 questions that you have to answer. Like, it made Lily Lineker's Love Bureau look proper.
When I did internet dating, and one of them was like 50 questions, and it was like, one of them I always remember being really weird. It was, you know, in Romeo and Juliet, it's like, wherefore art thou? And it said, what does wherefore mean? Does it mean A or does it mean B? And it's like...
Are you sure this wasn't an English literature GCSE you were doing?
But then I wrote whatever it was, and then some douchey guy, first message was like, actually, wherefore actually means something. And I was like, oh, well, fucking...
Well, you've blown that chance now, haven't you, pal?
Block.
Oh, the one thing I want is a, well, actually, in a relationship. Yeah.
Where are we?
So I was just confused why that was in a dating thing.
I know, it was very odd. I think it was because I think some nerds would know that it will. I think I put it meant where, but it meant who are you or something like that. So I think it was for the actually out there.
It's Shakespeare's. We get to meet Reggie and Jack, I think, live together or something. He comes around to borrow his bowling shoes anyway, which is weird, right? Would you let someone wear your shoes?
Well, and then you had to convince him to wear socks.
Yeah.
Can I borrow some socks?
Well,
yeah, but this was all part of the ruse, wasn't it, to get him out of the room? I don't think he was.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
But before all this, they're in a pub.
Yes.
And hey, why don't we pretend we're doctors? And these girls are all like, oh my goodness, yeah, you save lives. And then he was like, actually, I'm a nurse. And they were like,
unclean.
But it was funny as well because he goes, no, I'm not MD, I'm RN. And they're like, really naughty?
Yeah, I forgot about that.
He's like, no, registered nurse.
Should be RM anyway, registered nurse, surely.
Oh, but their reactions was just...
we've got to go. And he's like, I know you don't have to go. And he's like, yeah, but I really want to now, especially because you're being...
Yeah, because Reggie lied to him, said that he was a quarterback. And yeah, and I was like, mate, you're going to do a convincing lie, do a lie. But again, do you want bath loses or do you want love? This is the thing, isn't it? So he borrows his shoes and then he gets him out of the room and he changes his occupation on the head over heels datingforyou.com to you, nothing compares, to doctor. And he puts him down as Dr. J. Cooper, which is the bald, ugly guy they were insulting before. He wasn't ugly, he's just bald.
No, and he just puts medical doctor.
Yeah.
I think that's funny. It just sounds like a joke. Like,
well, I guess because there's like doctors of philosophy.
I know, but no one thinks that if you put doctor, do they?
I mean, technically it's true though. Yeah.
Medical.
If there's going to be on a plane, is there a doctor on here? Well, I can get up and discuss Greek mythology, but that's not going to help him, is it? We need to stab him in the throat with a biro like they always do. Anyway.
But if you were on a plane in America and you said, is there a doctor in the house? And the man stood up and went, no, but I'm a nurse. You'd go, well, fuck it, we're all dead
right.
then.
Throw him out. Throw him out. We'll eat you first.
First nurse.
Second the best, the dirty princess. The next day they come in and Catherine and Debbie are like, you've got 12 contacts already. I was like, you're a woman on a dating site. I bet you've got more than that. And I bet at least 40 of them have got their cocks out. No, there was like 14 or 15 of them, and Debbie went through them saying, no, ugly, all this stuff. And I was like, of the ones that were left, not one of them was holding a fish or had his sunglasses on in his car, because that's all it ever seems to be in my experience of these things. Yeah. So they pick Jack as he has, I quote unquote, something nice in his eyes. Which
all that doctoring he does.
At his age, he's probably cataracts. They phone each other up.
Oh, and there's that scene where she's in a meeting and Debbie comes through and sees she's in this meeting with these old white men. And she's like, you've got your results from the doctor? She's in it. Catherine just like, what? And they're like, if you've got to talk about your results, go. Let's just make everyone feel really... I don't know what results you mean.
Debbie's just living vicariously, isn't she? She's just like bored. The job doesn't appear to be doing anything.
If you're online dating, I do not want my phone number given to random people.
I don't want to speak to them on the phone.
I don't want to speak to them on the phone. I don't want to see them in public, really.
No.
If you could just send it in the post, that'd be fine. Yeah, so they phone each other and they're like, oh, this is great. Let's meet up, random internet stranger. And I'm like, well, she's going to get stabbed and dumped on the highway.
Well, he
No.
offers to pick her up, and she is. I think the point that she doesn't want to be picked up because she doesn't want him to see the fancy house, but also you don't want to be picked up in a car in internet dating because they could just drive you anywhere. That's weird. No one does that.
There's an Only Fools and Horses episode all about this sort of thing. And that was before the internet. So they go bowling on their first date, like a 14-year-old does. Which I thought was kind of adorable in a way, because...
Well, at least she was safe because there was a lot of people there.
Yeah, lots of his dickish friends around.
He was annoyed as well that he had to wear higher shoes because he'd lent Reggie his best bowling shoes. But he brought socks for everyone because
he goes, I have socks.
Guy.
Yep. She has never been bowling or understood the concept of throwing in her life.
She throws a bowling ball like Harvey.
I've literally got she bowls like my wife does.
Because I got the from Parks and Recs, Tommy style, doesn't she? Yeah. And then Ron comes over, son, people can see you.
I was never here. And they have fun, like they're bowling.
Her hair's coming down.
And he goes, I like your hair like that. And I was like, in a fucking ponytail. Have you never met a woman? And then later on, the same day, her dad like does the same thing. Oh, your hair looks, and pushes it out of her face. And I'm like, is this what this is about?
This thing where she's got her hair back in her original style, and then she's in the lift with a mirror, and she like takes one strand down, and then smiles at herself, and then looks away, and then looks back and gives herself a like.
I'm really naughty.
She's an RN.
This filth.
So weird.
We get to meet fucking Brandon, this kid in hospital.
He's a bellend, considering he needs surgery.
I mean, but you don't have to be nice to someone because you need surgery. He's going through a lot of stuff, Brandon. He needs a new heart valve. And, you know, that would make me abrupt and frightened and stuff. He's sitting there playing his Game Boy or it's showing my age here. Playing on his computer games. And Jack, his nurse, comes in, does his nursing, looks at his chart, takes his stethoscope on. That's the extent of his job, his training. And he basically goes, why do you play that to this kid? Why don't you read a book? And I'm like, fuck you, old man. I'll do what I want. Like, I could be dead tomorrow. My heart could explode. I don't need this.
You know you're a nurse. You can't judge me.
And then I was like, oh, right, this is it. It's the old switcheroo. So he thinks that she is an assistant at this firm, whatever it is they do, and she thinks that he is a doctor, but he isn't aware that she thinks he's a doctor.
Yes.
Because that confused me at first. But then I remembered that the friend changed it and sent it off without him knowing.
So then they've been on this date to the wet chicken place, where you can only eat with your hands.
Before that, they're in, she and Charles are there. Charles has got another glass of something on the go, because he's always on the piss, Charles. And Jack shows up and has to speak to Debbie, who pretends to be her boss, in a sort of reverse Mrs. Doubtfire type situation.
Hello!
Oh, my tatties! But Catherine is in an assistants meeting, which I don't think exists.
With all the assistants,
Yeah.
they meet up.
They come out. She says, oh, we have to go and see about getting the lobby repainted. And
She just doesn't pick it up again. She's
Yeah.
just like, no, I like the beige.
Well, maybe because she doesn't think that this man she's been on one date with is going to turn up at her work and fucking stalk her.
yes, that is a weird thing. But, you know, women like persistence. And then they go out to the fried wet food place.
Where there's no
So
silverware.
horrible.
Oh, it looked greasy.
And she's just sat there like watching him eat for a while, and he's like, is everything okay? She's like, well, I
No,
wanted some. And then she goes, I wanted some silverware.
yeah,
And
nice
he's like,
fork,
oh,
mate.
My Fair Lady in reverse. It was like, it was just wrong.
Move your blooming ass. I mean, it was
And
chips
it's like-
and chicken wings, but yeah.
He's like, no, this is how you do it. You pick it up, you dip it, and then you eat it. And then she picks it up and goes, and now what?
Also, at this point, he had grease all over his chin.
Oh, he really did. He actually had
Yeah.
full grease chin.
He was eating that chicken, that sweaty chicken.
No one CGI'd that out. What does
It's a Hallmark film. This is a budget of about 8p.
They call the cat when she drinks water and gets water on her chin. We call her Gretchen Wetchin. He's became a Gretchen for 5 minutes.
At this point, he doesn't know that his mate has changed the profile picture.
No.
And they're walking, and he goes, "Oh, you've never been to the top of the building you work in?" And I was like, "I haven't. I don't have roof access. What do you think this is?" And he said, "Oh, from where I live, I can see all the way to Wisconsin. Like, that's a fucking treat."
No, I was confused at wow, he was at the top of her building, but could tell her where everything was.
He's a nature boy. He's got a cabin in the woods. He might be a nurse, but also he can chop wood, and it's the things that Hallmark women look for is financial security, but also whittling, isn't it? That's the
Yeah.
yeah.
Also things.
He says, "Oh, for a second date this weekend, why don't you come and spend the weekend at my murder cabin in the woods?" And she's like, "Nah, I've got to work this weekend." And he's like, "Well, what about next weekend?" She's like, "I don't want to go to your murder cabin."
I've seen zombie beavers. I know what happens
I've seen
there.
Zombievers.
Zombievers.
Yeah. And she goes, "Oh no, it's fine. Let's go and I'll sort it out." And like, it's a second date.
But he is very pushy. He's like, "Oh well, if you don't want to go with me in the next 3 weekends, then we should break up because you hate me."
He does sort of guilt her into it, and she's like, "Well, you're a doctor, so I guess you know more than me."
It's third date anyway. First date bowling, second date wet chicken,
Wet
third
food.
date
Oh,
murder
even
in the
so,
cabin.
third date cabin murder. It's far too soon. Although it probably isn't, because you probably start to develop feelings from them, so you probably wouldn't murder them now.
Well, do if
First
he keeps
date
stalking
murder.
her anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, always play the long game.
Oh, it's harder to kill someone that you know, isn't it? Though apparently. Anyway.
If you're a psychopath.
Yeah, I guess.
I feel it.
He tells her this is where they have the thing where they go to this cabin. Oh wait, have they got to the cabin yet? No, sorry. This is where they're on the roof of the building.
Oh, we're on the.
We're on the roof of the building. She develops a rash and says that he's 34. And I'm like, is he bollocks? He looks about 50 if he's a day. And at this point, I'm just like, tell the truth. Because she says, "Oh, you're a doctor. You know all about rashes, don't you?" Yeah, okay. And he does the doctor thing of going, "Oh, 5 cc's of Benadryl." And I was like, that's just antihistamines, mate.
But she looks at him all cute with her big eyes, and he crumbles, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm a doctor."
But it could have saved so much time if you'd have just gone, "No, I'm a nurse.
He
A really naughty nurse."
He words it in a way that doesn't.
Sorry.
What I can't remember what he says, but he words it in a way that says like, "Yes, we are in the medical profession," or something like that. He doesn't specifically say.
She's Googled him and thought he was that other person, that James Cooper or something like that, and says, "Oh, you saved quadruplets last year. Don't be modest." And then he goes, "Oh well, no,
it's the nurses that need the credits, especially the men ones." And then she goes, "Male nurses." They're like eunuchs, aren't they?
Then he takes out his revolver and shoots her in the head. End of film.
Kicks her off the building and goes and gets more wet chicken. Yeah. If he'd have just told the truth there, right, we could have turned this film off and just put an old episode of Birds of a Feather on or something. That'd have been fun. He should have beaten his mate to death. He goes in to see Brandon and goes, "Oh, someone's nicked your computer game. Here, read Catcher in the Rye." And I'm like,
he doesn't even make it sound good. Like he makes it sound like he's making it sound good, if that makes sense. He says, "Oh, it's full of teenage rebellion and it was banned," but he doesn't make it sound exciting at all.
No.
He's trying to make it exciting.
And like Catcher in the Rye when you're 15 is great because it's really, I want to fuck things up stuff. But as an adult, you read it and you just go, I really wish Holden Caulfield would fuck off, the whingy little shit.
Also, where did he pull it from?
His Merce pouch.
Yes,
all Merces have one.
Boy,
He's got a little mobile library in his hump. Right, and right. So they go on this canoe. We meet the doggo, which is the best bit in this film.
Yeah, the dog's so cool.
He's a very well trained doggo.
Yeah. They go on this cabin thing, and I'm going to be like, I bet they don't tell each other the truth here. They drive up there.
Oh, but Charles sees them getting in the car together. So Charles rings someone, doesn't he? And it's all suspicious.
Charles rings a private investigator. You know he's a private investigator because he's got a hat on that says press in the side.
Yeah, I know, it's so funny. He's private investigator. He's got a feather in his cap, doesn't he?
Oh, this is tremendous. They get up to the thing. She goes, "Wow, this is perfect." And it looks like the shittest cabin next to a lake ever.
It's not even a lake, it's like a big pond.
Well, they get there. The first thing they do is get in the ricketiest canoe, go out into the lake, and are like, "I have something to tell you." okay, what is it? I bought you this heart, but it's got Jack on it.
It's got a keychain or something like
Bought
that.
her a keychain in the shape of a heart. And
It
as
says always Jake.
And he goes, oh, they've got it wrong. And she goes, no, it's fine. And then he just throws her in the water for no reason.
He tries to grab it off her, and then eventually it's like the worst falling out of a canoe acting you've seen. Because they literally
there's
just
only an inch of
throw
water.
themselves.
To be fair,
Why?
it's like on a boating lake in a park. Like you could just get out and walk if you really wanted to. She's sitting there in front of a log fire with like an eiderdown and blankets on her, still shaking. While
And a
he's
hot
just
chocolate.
Well, he comes in with hot chocolate because of course he fucking does. Is hot chocolate booze in Hallmark films, you reckon?
You can add booze to hot chocolate if you want. You can add booze to anything.
I mean, yes, you can. But no, because they rarely drink. Only the bad people drink, don't they? Like
Yes,
Charles.
Charles was
But
drinking.
the good people drink hot chocolate, so they stink on.
I remember that, yeah.
And she's still shaking and freezing while he's just walking about in like t-shirt and pants because I guess she's a weak woman or something. And
Well brought up woman.
yeah,
Doesn't want for nothing.
they
That used to
sit
be
there
cold.
and they do. I have something to tell you. And she goes, what? And he goes, oh, I don't really like the music of Barry Manilow. And she's like, I have something to tell you too. I hate potatoes. And it's just like,
Oh, and then it's the best line of the film.
at this point, though, you'd be like, what the fuck is wrong with this person? They keep telling me they want to tell me something, and they'll tell me some spurious fact about themselves.
And then there's this like, so she's like, I can't. And then he goes, it doesn't matter what you can't do. And then he says the best line in the film.
Go for it.
Yes. So all the undefinable things, all the little things that come together to make up who you are, your essence, your soul, your gist. Your gist. And she just kisses him. I'd be like, sorry, hang on.
My gist?
What?
Is that what you're calling it? I call it boobies. Yeah, it was. Oh, the gist.
Gist.
I forgot about that because she says it later on, doesn't she, as well?
Yeah, if you'd have led with that, your gist, your essence, your soul, that makes more sense. Don't finish with the bad one.
Gist. You jizz. I mean, you just.
Sorry, Freuders. I was going to tell you, jizz.
It's been on my chin all evening.
That's why the chicken's somewhere.
Oh, stop it. Too far.
The next morning they wake up and everything in the cabin is made of wood. The fridge, the taps, the water in the taps, wood, everything. He's made so much avocado toast.
It's horrible as well. It's like, I don't know.
You only need a thin
squared up.
layer.
It's more avocado than toast, which is the wrong way around, in my opinion.
It looks horrible.
And she's like, "Oh, I'm not worthy of this or something," and he's like, "No, it's fine. Don't worry about it."
It's just 100 avocados on.
Yeah.
I bought them. I'm using them.
They go off really quick. Ah, that one's
like a half an hour,
all his
don't they, where
thumbs
they
going through him. Should have got up earlier. Yours has gone all brown and weird now. Sorry. She gets a phone call and her dad has had a heart attack.
Don't panic.
So he's like, right, it's fine, we'll go. I pushed you in a lake. We had hot chocolate and a kiss. This went better than I thought it was going to be honest.
But she lies
around
and
to the
says he's in a
killing yet,
different
but-
hospital,
Yeah.
Yes.
thinking that she wouldn't bump into him at the hospital.
I mean, I didn't.
I mean, I know
quite
hospitals are
understand this.
large, but
Well,
you know.
he's supposed to be over in baby
Kids, pediatrics.
pediatric childbearing off area.
Yeah.
Bryce or whatever it's called is not childbearing.
Who the fuck's Bryce?
The kid with the heart valve.
Brandon.
So that's where he really is, but the doctor who he's pretending to be is in gynae or whatever, and in childbirth zone.
Oh, optreptic, something like that. Isn't it?
yeah.
Optics.
Eyes.
I'm thinking of the bar.
Gynecology and obstetrics.
That's it.
Right.
Obstetrics.
Jesus Christ, the one man in the room knew that. Yeah, so they go back and they see the dad and he's like, oh, I'm fine. It's just whatever. I'm just too
Hello,
busy
kitten.
doing business. Yeah, business.
So lo
Jake-
and behold, it's Jack looking after him as the nurse.
No, Jack goes to see Mildred and gives her some cheese.
Oh,
Gives her a wheel of cheese and goes, the gifts of the dairy state, which is Wisconsin. Wisconsin is the dairy state.
Is it
So I learned
actually?
something today. Yeah. He goes in to look after Edward, the dad, And he thinks it's the funniest thing. He's like, is this a wind-up? Male nurse. And I'd be like,
Is Jeremy Beadle going to
I'm
appear?
Jeremy Beadle and his tiny hand. And he's just like, you know what? Fuck you. Every day you go into work and you get laughed at for being a male nurse, you'd give it up, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Like, you'd just be like, fuck
He's
you.
got a chip on his shoulder, though, quite rightly in this film, but I think he goes to, like, to break stereotypes and stuff.
No.
It's 2016.
I know.
Yes. I never understood why nursing was seen as a women's profession anyway. Like, if
It's
anything.
caring, isn't it? That's the
Yeah,
thing.
I guess.
Yeah, it's like doing all the jobs no one wants to do.
During wars and stuff, men are off
Yeah.
shooting and women are like bandaged.
Men do all the
Yeah.
medical brain thinky stuff.
Yeah,
That's quite
all
rightly
the,
in
all,
my
the
case.
all the surgery and
The
stuff.
brain thinky stuff. And women do all the caring.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. It's no, it's
So a man
awful.
doing the caring, God, he must be
Ugh.
a woman.
Check, he's got testicles. Ugh. But then they meet in the cafeteria. Debbie and Reggie lock eyes and immediately go off to fucking a supply closet.
Yeah, she leaves a big salad.
She's like, no, and 3 other guys, it's off. I've met my love match. Reggie, the quarterback.
No,
To be fair, that made me laugh that bit. I was like,
Yeah.
this is quite cute, and I like it when the secondary characters get involved. And then we meet out. She's like, but you're not a nurse. You're not a doctor. And he's like, yeah. No, this isn't that point, is it?
No.
No.
You've got to
Sorry.
beat PI first.
Yes, then, sorry, yes. Outside, a man hands Charles a brown envelope with his hood up, like he's fucking deep throating the Watergate scandal. And he goes, nah, he's a nurse, see? And then just walks off.
Basically, yeah. And Charles is like, ugh, nurse.
A man nurse. Does such a thing exist?
He must be after her for her money. So then goes to his house.
Oh, well, before that, we get Edward and Jack playing chess.
Oh yeah, so he's come round to the idea of the nurse. He's like, "You're all right, son.
I'm old-fashioned, but I eventually get there," he said.
I just need a time to think about it for it to settle in."
Heaven forbid his daughter was a lesbian or something, eh? But
yeah, no, right. And then they're playing chess, and that's all fine. And then Jack tells him the whole situation. He's like, "Oh, I really love this girl, but my friend told her that I was a doctor, and I haven't got around to telling her yet." Blah blah blah. And they bond basically.
Yeah, and he's like, "Oh well, when I met my wife in the war," and he goes, "The Civil War," and he goes, "You cheeky scamp, you cheeky nurse." Yeah, and it was like, but he says, "But basically, you need to tell her the truth, because if you don't know if it's real love or she's just into you for what she thinks is the money." And I'm like, everyone in this is kind of horrible, because they just think that people can't like each other who they are. It's always a longer con.
It is this thing, and you see it in a few films where they're trying to make a point but just reinforce the point anyway. So like, they're saying that they're trying to say that being a male nurse is fine, but make the whole being a male nurse make it seem so
a running
weird
joke throughout the entire thing. Yeah, and that being a rich person doesn't mean to make you horrible, and yet all the rich people in this are kind of assholes. Yeah. The only nice person is Debbie, and she's a slack apparently. We get a phone call through to Catherine, who has 3 phones because she's a drug dealer as well on the slide, and it's them saying, "I need to see you. I need to tell you something." And then Charles shows up at Jack's house, which looks very similar to his cabin. Offers him, says, "I know who you are. I know what you're doing. I know you're just after her money.
I know you're a disgusting nurse."
Yeah. When the revolution comes, you'll be first against the wall, pal. And he gives him a check, and he goes, "Why are you giving me a check for $200 made out to AT&T?" And he goes, "Oh, that was my phone bill." And I was like, that's a fucking joke. That's good. He offers him a bigger check and says, "That's for you to leave her alone and never bother her again." And he's like,
how much he offered it him?
he says,
$3,000.
it was a fair bit. And he says, no, it's fine. I don't want your money. And he says, "Everyone's got a price." And I'm like, is he Ted DiBiase, the $1 million man here? He says, "Money's no object. Just leave her alone."
I'll take my chances.
And then they meet in the hospital, and she finds out that he's a nurse, and he finds out that she's his daughter. And then they're both angry at each other. This was the bit I didn't understand. Why didn't we just go, what a series of wacky hijinks this has led us to?
There was the bit where they just wasted hospital tannoys for hours.
Oh, that's the end bit. I'm like, it's a hospital list, not the fucking
Is that
country fair show.
Yeah, so they fall out, don't they? And he's like, you didn't tell me that you were really milky.
Really milky?
Really wealthy someone. Really
Yeah.
wealthy.
You tell me you were a business person with an earpiece.
His bedside manner gets worse, and she's a bell end.
Yeah. But they're both angry to each other, even though it's an honest mistake. Like,
yeah, I mean, they both have their reasons.
On her part, it isn't, because she let Debbie put assistant, whereas Jack wasn't aware of it until second date. But even then, he should have just gone, no, I'm not. If he'd have just said, no, I'm not a doctor.
I'm really naughty.
I'm a nurse. I'm a really naughty nurse. And you've been a naughty girl.
That would have solved everything.
Yeah. And it would have been a very different film, wouldn't it? But he goes to see Jack's like, oh, I need to go and speak to Brandon. That'll clear my mind. And Brandon's like, you can shove your book up your ass, you prick. You're nothing but a phony. And I'm like, oh, so he has read it.
He's off the next day with his surgery, isn't he? And he's like, how dare you have a day off?
Yeah.
Shove your book up your ass.
It's about me,
where
Brandon.
It came from.
Yeah. And he's like, oh, okay, well, I do have a life outside of here. Do you? Anyway, he comes back the next day with the book, gives it to Brandon as he's going into surgery. And I'm like, you can't take that into surgery. It's a book.
And
your heart operated on one. Yeah.
Reading it.
Just let me finish this chapter. And then you can
just count backwards. Charles again says everybody has a price. And I'm like, is this a catchphrase that he said all the way through? And I've missed it.
Better than that last guy's catchphrase. I can't remember.
Yeah, true.
Be aware.
Short and snappy.
Beat first.
Then they do this fucking thing where, like, she goes to the hospital. Her dad's like better now, and he's like, you should go and tell him because clearly you're into him. And she's like, I am. And he's like, well, go then. I just told you to. Why are you still here? She goes to the nurse.
Push her hair out of her face again, or something.
Yeah, and probably like touch her shoulder or something. She goes to see Mildred, and Mildred says, "Oh, he's not working today." And she goes, "Well, can you phone him?" And she goes, "No, he's not here today. I'm not asking him on his day off. I mean, you should have his phone number. You've been to a cabin with him. You let him push you in a lake.
Bing bong.
And so Mildred walks off, yeah, and she just goes, fuck it, grabs the intercom thing, and he's like,
does a whole soliloquy.
Jack, I just had visions of that bit in the office. Look, I am your price on fabric softener. Go to the top of the building because I need to speak to you and I'm really sorry. And instead of going to the top of the building and having this whole thing, Jack grabs another intercom like they're in fucking Superstore and have this entire heart-to-heart conversation while everyone can hear it. This is a hospital.
Everyone stop talking.
People need that intercom.
I mean, the poor lad in the ER who's like having his heart resuscitated and they just stop and, yeah, call it. He's dead. No. This is not the fucking Tannoy announcement Olympics. Oh, and then it ends. That's it. They meet, they do a bit of a kiss, and it just ends. And I was like, oh, okay.
Wasted hospital property.
I don't understand why it's called Anything for Love. They don't really do much. They just lie.
They didn't do that.
They didn't do that. They just, what did they, there was no, they didn't walk through the fire or anything like that.
Or whatever it was.
They just lied on their dating profiles. I'll do anything, including just putting the wrong word in this box. I don't understand why it was called anything.
It went under the working title in America of The Dating Game, which at least would have made a bit more sense. Yeah. But I think there was their version of Blind Date in America was called The Dating Game. So they probably couldn't use it for legal reasons.
They should have called it Mercy's Ass Shit. That's what they should have called it.
I mean, yeah. This is going, 4.6 for me, or half a copy of Catcher in the Rye. The first half.
I quite liked it. It was always lame and had cheesy bits and enforced stereotypes, but otherwise pretty good. I think
your brain is definitely broken.
My brain is broken. I've definitely gone, something's definitely broken in there. So I'm going to go 5.8.
I was going to go 4.5.
So that's above average then for us.
It had funny moments.
I liked it.
And there was a dog.
It was a dog.
Yeah. It was just the Merce hatred I couldn't get past.
And Debbie. We like Debbie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Erika Christensen is the name of what's her face?
The moon face lady.
Catherine Benson. So she was in Cheaper by the Dozen, the remake, you know, with Zach Braff, who's very old now. You seen it?
Cheaper by the... No, I haven't. I thought that...
Yeah, it came
That
out.
old guy.
No.
Yeah, he's old now, Zach Braff.
No. Who am I thinking of?
Who ironically played a doctor in Scrubs.
Yeah, he did. When he was young. It's like 20 years ago now. No, he's I've not seen it either actually, but it's supposed to be quite good. So she was in that. She also seems to be in quite a lot of religious film, including a film called The Crack.
The Crack. I've seen that.
Watch that one all the time. The Case for Christ. So that sounds a bit like.
Oh, that's Jesus in a court of law.
I would love to hear Bernie's.
Objection.
A case for crack. Oh no, Christ. Sorry.
Christ in the crack case. It's like The Wire, but Jesus is just there.
Yeah. But her most prominent role seems to be My Boyfriend's Dogs. So that came out in 2014.
Oh.
I want to watch that one. But the weirdest thing I found about it was, so this, you know, IMDb's got their quotes, like, and it comes up at the quote. This one is, I'm more proud of my upper body. Let's just say I'm a typical female in that way. So she loves her tits, is what I got from that.
At least it's not. She walks into a room and sits down and admires her breasts.
She has a farty back.
Yeah, I'm more proud of my upper body. Let's just say I'm a typical female. It doesn't have any context on these quotes.
She hates her vagina.
Shins. So Paul Greene. I think we've all gone a little bit mad on this one.
Like a typical female. I knew it was true. You all just sit about comparing them all the time.
Paul Greene, of course, was in the previous film we've done, Campfire Kiss. He's quite a Hallmark favourite. Apparently he's known as the Cary Grant of the Hallmark channel.
In his house.
Why is
By his mum.
Why is he not like the male equivalent of Cary Grant?
Cary Grant is a man.
Is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know who it is. That is a woman, Cary.
I mean,
Not male enough.
Cary Grant likes his upper half, like all males do.
All Mercers do. Fair enough.
Cary Grant's a Okay.
I don't know who he is.
Yeah.
Cut that out.
No,
I don't know the names of anyone. This is my main thing in life. That was weird.
Why don't they just call him Fred Astaire?
Why do they call him the Billie Holiday of Hallmark? Because that's a woman, but she's got a bloke's name.
Yeah. So he's released 6 albums. I did have a listen. They're not that good, as you can imagine.
Ah, mate, I'm gonna have to find them.
Yeah.
I imagine it's country light rock.
Yeah, it is
stuff,
sort of. Yeah, that sort of stuff. Lots of covers of things. I think. I don't think he's written any of his own stuff. Although that would be better, wouldn't it? That'd be good. Definitely listen to his album. So, Merce is all okay.
If you're a Merce, put your hands in the air.
His famous quote on IMDb was, "What the nickel?" No context.
As a catchphrase, that's great. What the nickel?
What the nickel? And then
Come back, Stink.
On IMDb, there's this trivia about them.
Right.
It just seems to me that all of his fans have just like piled loads of trivia.
Oh, is it stuff like he's got lovely eyes?
Well, I've got the ones I wrote down that I thought were quite funny. Is the most fun board game for Paul is Yahtzee because it's competitive and fast. That's all it
What the fuck?
So's Hungry Hippo.
That's more competitive and fast.
It's really weird. And then this one I liked. I've lost it a little bit. Paul feels that his most challenging scripts were possibly Sofia Coppola's Somewhere because he had to be naked. Also Bitten because he had his buns out for a bit. That's in the trivia section.
Why would being in the nude make the script more difficult unless he was writing the script into the lining of his clothes?
Also Bitten because he had his buns out for a bit.
Buns out. Bitten buns, yeah. I want more of these facts where it's just like, Paul's favourite food is chili because he likes beans. It's just random fact.
There's thousands of them. It's really weird. Oh, sorry. Whew. Calm down for a little bit. So Dylan Schmidt, which I've just put sick boy next to.
Oh, yeah.
Sick boy. He's been in, and I don't know whether you might have watched this. I'm thinking, Bernie, you might have watched this more than Joe. Once, the sort of fairy
Once
tale.
Upon a Time, yeah.
Once Upon a Time. So he was Rumpelstiltskin's son, Bellfire, in that. But he's been in a few things, including that film with Daniel Radcliffe with horns.
Right.
Did you ever watch that? I never watched it.
I think I've got it on the Skybox from like 4 Halloweens ago, and I've just never got around to watching it.
I can't watch anything with Daniel Radcliffe. I just sit there going, Harry Potter, just get his wand out.
It's Harry Potter.
That one where he's got them guns glued to his hands.
So I did look at the synopsis of that, and it's like his girlfriend dies in a mysterious way, and then he starts growing horns.
Yeah.
That's the synopsis of that one. Reggie, the dickhead friend, is Patrick Gilmore, and he's in lots of things as like extra, but his first acting credit was in a film called Toboggan Boy as
oh, please let it as the boy.
As Toboggan Boy.
Yes. Toboggan Boy, right, we're doing that.
Toboggan Boy as Toboggan Boy.
Oh, does he just love toboggans, or is he a boy made of toboggans?
Or do people ride him like a toboggan?
Yeah, or is he? No, or is he just like a
maybe
hollowed out boy that they've used as a toboggan?
And at Christmas, he comes to life and makes everybody fall in love with tobogganing.
But only once a year. And then you have to wait all year. And then,
a human toboggan comes round, but you're not sure what's going on here anymore.
So is the dad, Kitten's dad, is Tom Butler, and he again has done just a shitload of things, but he was in 50 Shades of Grey.
Oh.
Dude. No, he wasn't. He was like the university.
He had his buns out, yeah.
His buns out. So he found it very difficult to remember the script when he was but he was yes, as a university president, and he was in Snakes on the Plane as captain of the plane.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I haven't seen that in a very long time. It's not very good.
And he's also in Red Sun Rising, the 1994 movie, who's got a friend of the show in it.
Oh, I mean, we've got so many friends. It's got to be Bloodfist Man. What's he called? Don the Dragon Wilson.
Yes! Don the
Dragon Wilson. The original friend.
The original
best friend.
And the director is a friend of the show as well, Terry Ingram.
Yes, the name rings a bell.
Oh, I was going to say Mr. Film.
So he directed Chupacabra versus the Alamo.
Chupacabra versus the Alamo. Yeah.
Chupacabra.
Chupa Chups versus the Alamo.
Versus the Alamo. So yeah, there you go. That's my facts.
Lovely.
RNINTN gave this a 3 out of 10 and called it offensive.
Oh, is RNITBM said? Are they a nurse?
A nurse.
I've watched dozens of Hallmark movies, but this was the first one that made me angry. It's 2016 and no one realises that men can be nurses.
Right on, RMITBM said, question mark, smiley face.
The movie makes women look like shallow gold diggers. It refers to nurses as less desirable than physicians. I gave 3 stars because the actors did the best they could with this offensive writing.
They're not wrong.
He's not yeah, they're not 100, yeah.
Also,
I saying about the women giving gold diggers seems a bit...
But why do they think doctors make a lot of money? Because they don't.
American doctors, don't they? Because it's all privatized.
Oh.
So if you get into a private practice and then you get like kickbacks for prescribing proprietary drugs and...
Is that why House is like full of drugs? Because he can afford it? Because he's always just...
Well, I think you can prescribe your own kind as well.
No, you can't prescribe your own drugs.
No, but you can like...
You can if you just steal them out of the medicine.
Yeah, that's what House does. But no, I'm fairly sure it's if you get into a private practice, it's a lucrative career.
I think it can be quite lucrative in this because
again, my knowledge of this is based on like Scrubs, so...
Yeah.
Fair enough. But if you did that in England, it won't work because doctors aren't paid much.
No,
because they're like...
Oh yeah, you can't see them.
They're like, you've got 2 hours to sleep.
If you can get past the receptionist, then you can see a doctor. Right, Hell Fran Stan gave it a 9 out of 10. Prejudice runs both ways. No matter who we are, we all experience prejudice. This movie covers issues I see a lot: sexism, ageism, singleism, jobism, statuism, and financialism. Yes, not all of those are proper words, but they should be because, as we see in this film, prejudice has a negative effect on all kinds of people. I really didn't enjoy the start and nearly gave up, but it is necessary in order for the middle to be so warm and the ending to work.
I mean, did he say statuism?
Yeah.
What's he got against statues?
Where were there any statues in this film?
No.
Well,
I mean,
Financialism is.
I think that just comes on like something else, doesn't it? But yeah, I think he just got onto an isms sort of role there, didn't he? And was just, yeah, I'm going to do all of them.
Right, and I'm going to leave you with Bill McNeil, who is furious about one thing and one thing only.
Bill McNeil. Oh,
He gave it a 5 out of 10. Do you want to guess what he's furious about?
it's going to be something really inconsequential that they got wrong in the film, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to guess it's about the canoe. The canoe's the wrong type of canoe for the water, or something equally like shite like that in it.
You can't put that much avocado on a toast.
Well, we know that. Right. Seriously, she's never been to Wisconsin. Really? A rich white woman from Chicago? Not even Lake Geneva.
White women do love Lake Geneva. That is a fact.
Just love how he's furious. Nothing ever happened. Just that. Ugh. So I had to include him in there.
In conclusion, that was 2016's Anything for Love. Your favourite line? Katie, take us out on the best line in the film.
You're just.
I meant the whole thing, but that's enough. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Yeah, I thought you were joining in.